In December 2004, we took our second trip to Kenya, and it was the first time in my life that I've ever seen poverty and suffering to that degree. So as we took these trips and we visited and we met these children who were barefoot and dirty, and their mothers and fathers had abandoned them or had died of AIDS or had been killed in some violent act, I just was overcome with their plight. And the only response I know to make is we are supposed to be involved somehow of the care of orphans in Kenya. On our second, third, and fourth trips over, it was this constant interaction with people who needed help. And then we would go back to America, and although we loved our life in America, we loved it, we just couldn't ever quit thinking about our friends in Kenya. And so we shared that with some friends of ours who are Kenyan, and they just so happened to own a piece of land down in Mai Mahiu, Kenya, 5 acres, that they had always believed would be used for the care of orphans.
When we talked to this couple and they brought us this piece of land, this is the piece of land that we're on right now. And it was dead and dry. And I remember thinking that when we got here, and this was under a prolonged drought at the time, that this can't be a piece of property we're going to do something on eventually. There was this little cow house in the center of it that had 2 rooms in it, and there was a poor squatter family that had been in it for a while. And we began to come out here and pray over this land and began to get excited about what God would do here. And when friends would come, we would bring them out and we'd prayer walk on this land. We began to see rain fall on it, and grass grew, and there were still no buildings. And we still didn't know what was going to happen, but some time passed. And then we got an architect, and we said, hey, there's this little building here. We just want to kind of expand it, and here's what we're thinking. And meanwhile, we kept seeing orphans everywhere. And we would ask the questions, and we would look at statistics, and we saw that there was such thing as a single orphan or a double orphan. And a double orphan is a child who has no parents. Both parents are gone. And that was the most common type of orphan in this area. And that was the kind of orphan we were feeling called to help. The most desperate child of all. And so we're not looking at a day orphanage anymore. We're looking at a place where a child could come and live 24/7. And so when we talk to the architect and we're talking about helping children, he's saying you've got to build a bigger structure that's got a dining hall, a kitchen, enough space for the children to live, and bedrooms, bathrooms, and all that. How many children are you talking about bringing in? And both of us felt the number 100. That just came to us at the same time, like God gave us this number. So now we're talking about 100 children, all those facilities, and he starts drawing plans up. And he's an American, so he's thinking, you guys need to build a good home. And both of us felt that our call was not just to give them basic care, but to give them everything that our own children get, to raise them to be leaders, equipped to stand on their own feet and be part of the solution for the rest of the orphans that exist in Kenya.
So coincidentally, at the same time, I was studying the book of Ruth. And the names in the book of Ruth are so important. Naomi means beautiful, pleasant, delightful. And that struck a chord in my heart because that's what we've been saying about these children in Kenya for 4 years now, is how beautiful they are. But their noses are a mess, their faces are a mess, they're dirty from head to toe, and yet they're beautiful.
When we started to look at the statistics and realize how many orphans there were, and then how often traditional children's homes failed at their objective, we realized God was calling us to something different. And so we wanted to raise our children to be leaders, not only because we wanted them to survive and do well, but we wanted them to be part of the solution for the rest of the children. Our children get excellent health care, nutrition, spiritual care.
For kids in Naomi's village, they found a place that they could call home. They found a place where they are loved. They found a place where they have a future and a hope.
I think what I've been most amazed about is how God can put this immense amount of love in my heart, in Bob's heart, for these children that he brings to Naomi's village. We just see ourselves as one big, very unique family.
We honestly feel that this is the nucleus of a change that will start here in the Rift Valley, where these kids are going to grow up equipped, enabled, empowered, and then from there spread out throughout Kenya and begin to serve in government, business, medicine, any number of fields as leaders who are not only given academic skills but character skills, spiritual training, and are taught that your call in life is not only to lead but to serve.
The vision of Naomi's Village is very different than other orphanages in Kenya. So what I'm excited to see is how does that vision look long term? How does that play out in these children's lives? Every day they tell us, a different child tells us, I want to be a surgeon. I want to open a children's home. I want to start my own hospital. I want to build a home and start a feeding program. They have huge dreams that don't land on themselves. They land on other people.
And I feel like what God has called us to do, He's given us a clear vision, and it's working. I can't be cynical. The future of so many children here depends on us continuing to believe that what God has called us to do has to happen. And cynicism doesn't solve anything. There are 53 million children right now, according to UNICEF statistics, that are currently orphaned in Africa. And most of their lives are being forgotten and squandered. And ask yourself if that's okay. And if it's not, come and see some of those children and be connected with them and get involved. That's my plea to you.